Hey everyone, we're going to talk about Cobalt Blade Noctis today. We're going to talk about his base form, his brazier form, his global upgrade, his sample rotation and sample builds, as well as his comparison with other physical damage healers, including Envy King Edgar of Figaro. I'm also going to give my final thoughts at the end, and a preview of the future units for FFBE. Alright, so before we proceed, if you're new here, my name is Azure and I make FFB and gaming content every day and upload them to the channel. If you're interested in that, why don't you subscribe to the channel? If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for the support and let's get into it. So here is Noctis's Trustmaster Award. It's called the Balmung FF15. It's a unique sword that gives jump damage for Noctis or Arden. Arden is a future unit too, and light amplification. So it has 162 attack. It activates Royal Bloodline of Lucis that gives boost damage for jump attacks by 100%. But that's only for the Noctis versions and Arden. And then Guide to Light, boost light damage of Ffbe, abilities, and magic at the beginning of battle or after being revived. The light boost is for 10% for 9999 turns. Alright, his Super Trustmaster Award is the Kingly Raiment FF15, attack 57, defense 30, and Spirit 40. So high attack clothes that give undead killer and jump damage 50% and 100% respectively. It's the second clothes or cloth that give undead killer. The first one is Gunner Eunice Dress Plus, but it's only equipable by Yuna FFX2. It's also the second clothes that give jump damage. The first one is Fang's clothes that give 25% jump damage compared to Noctis's SUMR, which gives 100% jump damage. So certainly must have for any jump damage dealer or Dragoon. Alright, so the special passive is not restricted to Noctis or Arden, so any jump damage dealer can benefit from the jump damage boost of 100%. Also, Reaper Killer or Undead Killer is kind of rare, so it's good to have this on clothes. This video is sponsored by Amazon Coins. Get 10,000 Amazon Coins for $80 instead of $100. That's a savings of 20%. You can use the Amazon Coins to buy Lapis for FFBE. I place a link in the description below. Check it out after you watch the video. Alright, here is his vision card, the Cure for Insomnia. Level 1 attack 60 and level 10 attack 110. So vision card for the feature 1 at boost attack by 40 when equipped with the sword. Same with level 7, and at level 10 it brings the power to bring back dawn, boost fire and dark resistance by 25% and jump damage for jump attacks by 50%. Restricted to FF15 units only. So it's a high base attack vision card with 80% attack bonus when equipped with a sword or swords. It's a great vision card, especially for CB Noctis. Too bad the jump damage boost is restricted to FF15 only. Otherwise, it would be useful for all jump damage healers. You can still equip it on a physical damage healer who is already capped out on attack passives or are equipping swords. Or the high flat attack. We might be seeing high flat attack vision cards in the future though, so not a must pull for this vision card, but everything else really good, including Noctis himself. So we'll get onto his kit. Alright, so Noctis in Global has been upgraded from his JP version. So he has, in his base form, he has now increase Ffbe gauge 48 to caster at the start of battle. So he didn't have that in his JP form, so he couldn't fire off his Ffbe on turn 1. So now he can fire off his Ffbe on turn 1 and apply the Sword Imperil without having to external fill his Ffbe gauge. Alright, so Warp Strike, his jump ability in Brave Shift form, gets a modifier boost, and also The jump delay has been reduced to 1 turn. Alright, so light physical damage 100 instead of 83, and the jump delay is now 1 turn instead of 2 turns. So he doesn't need to stay in the air, he lands immediately after the turn after you cast his jump. Unlike Edgar or Figaro, who needs to stay in the air for a turn before landing. Alright, so we're going to talk about his base form. Base form, he has 236 attack and NV, base NV, kind of low. But when you awaken him to EX1, he gets 297 and up to 377 attack at EX3 in base form. Alright, so he also has true Brave Shift. That means both forms are available all the time without limitation, so you can freely switch between his base form and Brave Shift form at will. He has 50% light resist and completely immune to paralyze and petrify, which is good. He can equip a variety of weapons, including daggers, swords, great swords, katanas, spears, and throwing weapons and guns. He can also equip shields, both light shield and heavy shield, clothes, light armor, hats, and accessories. He also has the ability to cast level 8 up to level 8 white and dark magic. So if you equip him with Arrhenius Ring, he can quadcast black magic, I think. So he can have additional chaining families. Alright, so Ffbe Noctis is a light-based dual-wield physical chainer who can provide sword imperils in his base form. He specializes in Stardust Ray chains. So Warp Light is light physical damage 36 to all enemies, evade 2 physical attacks for 5 turns to caster, and then add Light Element to physical attacks for 5 turns to caster, Stardust Ray chaining family. Royal Cleave, physical damage 72 to 1 enemy, also decreases light resistance 120 for 5 turns to 1 enemy, also SR chaining. And then last is Legacy of the Luci, 5 uses per battle, unique selection and multicast, physical damage 90 to 1 enemies to also Stardust Ray. Ffbe Noctis can also buff the party stats with 100% uptime and also buff Reaper Killer to himself. He also has permanent triple cast. So Chosen King's Encouragement is on a 5-turn cooldown. It's available on turn 1. Increase all stats to 50 for 5 turns to all allies. Also increases physical damage against Reapers, 150 for 5 turns to caster. So 5-turn cooldown, it lasts for 5 turns, so meaning you can cast this or have this up indefinitely. Right, so he can also serve as your stat buffer, although it's just 250% instead of the max of 300. Alright, so the thing that makes Ffbe Noctis unique is his sword apparel. He's the first unit in the game to have one. In the future, Arden will also have this ability. This means that he can boost NV Terras or NV Pharises and other sword users' damage by his sword apparel, provided they are using swords, a sword or swords. So Armiger Unleashed, 15 hits, 48 LB Crests. You can cast this on turn 1 because he has that auto LB fill on turn 1. Physical damage 100 to all enemies. Decrease sword resistance 25% for 5 turns to all enemies. So one reason you should pull for him because of this sword impel. No unit in the game has this yet, so Ffbe Noctis is a good unit to pull for. So his offensive, his passives here, we're going to talk about it. More importantly, his offensive passives. So 180% attack, 150% true dual wield, 100% LB damage. He has innate dual wield and 200% chain modifier cap. And lastly, 150% Reaper and Fairy Killer. So he's going to be great against undead and spirit enemies or fairy and Reaper enemies. He also has below average defensive stats, Spirit 60 and MP, and then defense and HP 50%. And then he can also magic evade 30 and physical evade 30%, but it's a trust passive. Sorry, I forgot to put that there. And then free LB gauge per turn, 7% MP refresh, and his normal attack gets upgraded to physical damage 38 to 1 enemy, bolting strike. So if he's dual wielding, he cast that twice. Alright, so we already talked about his auto cast to walk tall, increase LB gauge 48 to caster. Alright, so what are the weaknesses of his base form or normal form? He doesn't have an active LB damage boost ability in his base form. So he only has the 100% passive, right? Then he has low defensive passives, but he's not bulky. But he does have excellent offensive stats. He doesn't have a way to fill his LB gauge, but he does start with a full LB gauge. So it doesn't have a skill that fills his LB. And then his high modifier skill, Legacy of the Lucii, can only be casted once in multicast and only lasts 5 uses. So he then goes back to using an average modifier skill. So 90 or 90 mod for Legacy of Lucii, 72 for the other skill. Alright, so those are his base form weaknesses. Here's a sample rotation for when we use Ffbe Noctis as a light-based physical Stardust Ray Chainer. If you don't have his EX1 form Brave Shift form unlocked yet, so you can use him as a chainer. So here is what his rotation could look like. We'll start the battle in Brave Shift form for the light boost, but ignore the turn 1 if you don't have his Brave Shift form unlocked yet. And then go back to base form to chain SR. So turn 1, if you have his Brave Shift form unlocked, Ffbe Cobalt Blade Noctis, that gives the light the light boost and a 300% attack, Warp Light, and Return of Dawn. And then turn 2, Chosen King's Encouragement, Royal Cleave. Turn 3 to 5, just chain with triple cast Stardust Ray Chaining, and then use his Magnus ability, Legacy of the Lucii, as often as you can. Turn 6, Warp Light again, and then Royal Cleave. Then turn 7, back to buffing. Turn 8, you should have his LB up, so cast his LB. And then turn 9, Royal Cleave, level 5 times 2, Legacy of the Lucii. Alright, so I made this rotation before his global upgrade was announced, so he could just replace turn 1 with his LB. So you can take advantage of his Sword in Peril and then proceed to chain with SR. Alright, so sample build for Ffbe Noctis' base form. He won't be using jump abilities in his base form, so we'll focus on building his attack, LB damage, and killers. So we're gonna equip the Ultimate Blade FF15 plus 4. So Ultimate Blade is his OG version's SMR. It can be upgraded via the Chronicle battles to up to plus 4, and it will have a lot of flat attack. And then a bunch of passives that only Ardent and Noctis can benefit from. So definitely equip that. You can also equip him with 2 of those if you have. But for now, we're just gonna equip him with Dark Ragnarok for another high flat attack sword. And a high attack hat like Red Hellbore or Scanning Goggles. Kingly Raiment is his own SUR. Warlord Legguards for high flat attack and also to cap his True Dual Wield. A high attack accessory like Limited Moon or another Warlord Legguard. And then for materia, we get Guardian of Light Sora for the attack passive and also for some LB damage. Lion's Heart for LB damage, and he has 2 slots for killers, so pretty good. And vision card, you have the option to equip his own vision card or Riku's vision card, Riku KH3 vision card. Alright, so we're gonna move on to his Brave Shift form. Ffbe Noctis turns into a light-based jump finisher in his Brave Shift form. He loses the ability to inflict a sword in peril, so it's only available in his base form. But he has slightly higher base attack and BS form than in his base form. So looking at the attack there, 260 at base NV. 260, yep. And then EX1 will go up to 321, and EX3 it will go up to 401. So pretty good base attack there. He can still equip the same weapon, same armor, and still has the same level of white and black magic. He also has the same elemental resistance and status ailment resistance. Alright, so here are his skills in Brave form. So Warp Strike is his jump skill. Light physical damage 100 with time jump delay. 1 turn to 1 enemy. So that's his bread and butter skill for Dragoons or jump damage healers. Ffbe Cobalt Blade Noctis is a 6-turn cooldown available on turn 1. It increases attack 300% for 5 turns to caster. Increase LB damage 150% for 6 turns to caster. Can't be dispelled. Increase light physical damage, physical and magical damage 20% for 5 turns to caster. And then it enables skills for 6 turns to caster, sword charge, plus and plus plus. So, and then lastly is Return of the Dawn. 5 uses per battle, unique selection and multicast. Light physical damage 100 to 1 enemy, decreased light resistance 120 for 5 turns to 1 enemy. Alright, so you can also use him as a Star Destroy Chainer in his Brave Shift form. He still has access to his Star Destroy Chain from his base form. Alright, and then Armiger Charge is, alright, so Sword Charge and Armiger Charge are the same. I just forgot to change the name there. So Armiger Charge increases modifier up to 3 for 6 turns to caster to his jump ability. It also increases LB gauge 16 to caster. So you can just spend a turn to triple cast Armiger Charge plus and then plus plus, and then you will have max modifier for his jump skill. And also fills his LB gauge completely. Alright, so his limit burst is a non-elemental, which means it can be imbued with any element. It has a high modifier and low enough hits to fit inside a chain. Alright, so Warp Strike Rush 6 hit 48 LB, physical damage 125 to 1 enemy. Alright, so if you want to use him as an LB damage semi-finisher or chainer, you can use this LB. But it's best to use him as a jump finisher. Alright, so here are his passives. We're going to talk about his offensive passives first. So 200% attack, 20 more than his base form. Still 150 true dual wield, still 100 LB damage. Then he gains 300% jump damage passive. He still has an 8 dual wield and 200 chain mod cap and 150 fairy and reaper killer. Alright, so he still has the same defensive passives at 60% spirit and MP and 50% defense and HP. Alright, and then he still has magic evasion and physical evasion 30%, but are his trust passives. Still 3 LB fill per turn and 7% MP refresh. And upgrade normal attack to the same thing. Alright, so bolting strike, physical damage. Alright, so here is a sample rotation for his Bracer form. So we'll start the battle in base form, then LB on turn 1 and buff on turn 2, jump on turn 3 and 5, and then land on 4 and 6. So if you notice, we skipped his modifier boost for his jump skills because we want to maximize his light amplification from Ffbe Cobalt Blade Noctis. If we spend a turn using his modifier boost, Armiger Wakes, the second landing will not have the attack boost, the light amp, maybe the imperil, so it won't have that. But if you want to do the most damage on turn 4 or the most damage the first time he lands, you might want to squeeze in the modifier boost skill there on turn 3. Alright, so pretty easy rotation here. He's gonna do a lot of damage. As you can see there, if he's maxed out on jump damage, he will do 1800. That's because he's dual wielding. Alright. You can also increase his damage by using Nyx's a light imperil, 25 light imperil. That's an area effect, so it stacks with the regular light imperil. Alright, so how do we build his Brave Shift form? So we'll build Ffbe Noctis' Brave Shift form for jump damage, attack, and killers. So Ultima Blade again, and we're gonna equip his own TMR for the jump damage passive, Balmung FF15. Another high flat attack hat, Kingly Raiment because of the jump damage again, or the leg guards to cap his Trudeau wield, high attack accessory for the other slot. And then we're going to equip Memories of Ragnarok for the jump damage. That's from Graceful Fang. That's her SMR. You can also get copies of those using summon coins, exchanging summon coins in the exchange shop. So if you pull for him in banner, you get summon coins. Alright, Dragoon's Wisdom from Roberta. That's her SMR. And then 2 slots for killers. Vision card will be as Cure for Insomnia for the jump damage passive, flat attack, and attack passives. You can also replace that with other vision cards, physical damage vision cards, but you have to replace a killer slot with Hero's Vow Wind for the jump damage. Alright, so what are the weaknesses for his Brave Shift form? So before his global upgrade, he had high burst, but his damage per turn was low because he required a lot of setup turns before he could do the maximum damage. He would also have a dead turn while he was in the air. And also he couldn't LB on turn 1. You had to fill his LB so he could Sword in Peril. But now his global upgrades took care of his weaknesses. So Shift Break, his only jump ability is locked to light. It won't be a problem most of the time unless the enemy is resistant to light. So the only thing holding back Brave Shift form, Noctis' Brave Shift form, is that his jump ability is locked to light. So unlike NV King Edgar Figaro, whose jump ability is non-elemental, his is locked to light. But you can still imbue other elements there. It will be a problem if the enemy is resistant or immune to light. Alright, so what are his the best companions to bring with him in a battle? So NVA Nyx is on his banner. Nyx will get Neo Vision Awakening. So Nyx can SR chain with Ffbe Noctis. He can also apply a 25 light imperil area effect that stacks with normal imperils. He can also fill a big gauge, and he's also a light SR chainer, so matches well with Ffbe Noctis. Alright, so he also gets a powerful weapon that can be upgraded and crafted via the event. So if you do have him, if he is available for Neo Vision Awakening, do so and also farm his event equipment. Alright, so number 2, Crimson Blade Arden. Not sure if that name is gonna stick in global. He's a future unit. He shared a banner with they released at the same time in FFB JP with Ffbe Noctis. Ffbe Arden can also apply Sword in Peril, much like Ffbe Noctis. Actually, they share the same kit, except his kit is dark. So one can apply the Imperil where the other one powers up and jumps. Sparing them will lessen the setup turn before the burst turn. But since Noctis already got his global upgrade, he doesn't need as much external support now from Arden. So you can just ignore this advice. But let's see if Arden gets a global upgrade also. Alright, so since Noctis can just LB on turn 1 for the Sword Repel. Alright, so let's compare NV King Edgar Figaro because he's the latest jump damage, the previous jump damage healer that we have in global. So they both have 200 chain modifier cap. Passive LB damage is the same at 100. Noctis BS has 150 active LB damage buff, while King Edgar Figaro doesn't have one. He doesn't actually need to use this LB. True Dual Wield is the same, 150. Jump damage, King Edgar has slight advantage there at 450%. But Ffbe Noctis' TMR and SUMR give jump damage passive, so I think it balances out. Element, Ffbe Noctis is locked to light. However, King Edgar can be imbued with different elements. LB cost for Ffbe Noctis is 48, while it's 32 for Edgar Figaro. Attack passives is 200 for Ffbe Noctis, while Edgar has 180%. Killers, 150 Undead and Spirit Killer or Reaper, and Fairy Killer for Ffbe Noctis. And Edgar has Avian and Machine Killer 100% and 200% respectively. Alright. Alright, so here's a damage comparison from Furculus damage sheet. If you can see there, Cobalt Blade Noctis is at the top with excellent damage potential. So normal means he's equipped without SUMRs. So TMR only, he will do a lot of damage there. Average per turn would be 813 billion damage. The next, he does double the current damage dealers that we have. Then if you have an SMR build, the gap widens some more. So 1.4 trillion damage. All right, average damage per turn. All right, so he tops last one Reagan at 600, so more than twice their average damage per turn. And lastly, the thing that people are looking at the most, SUMR burst. Using his jump skills, even without the light imperil from NV Nyx, he will do 3 trillion damage. Alright, so looking down the list, King Edgar Figaro, 1.7 trillion. Alright, so they were a bit close in damage numbers before his Cobalt Blade Noctis' global upgrade, but now he does slightly twice as more as almost twice as more as King Edgar of Figaro. Alright, so if you're looking for a physical damage dealer, look no further, it will be Cobalt Blade Noctis for now. Alright, so final thoughts on Noctis. Ffbe Noctis is a must-have if you want to maximize sword wielders like NV Terra and NV Faris' damage output. He'll have a place in dark vision parties for the foreseeable future because of that. He's one of the units that can truly benefit from his OG version's SUMR, which is the Ultima Weapon FF15. Arden can also benefit from that. He is fairly easy to build, as you can see from his passives, and most of his best in-slot equips can be exchanged for summon coins from his banner. Alright, so he can have 2 killer slots at least, making him extremely flexible killer-wise. His SUMR is also a must-have for jump damage healers, so future damage healers might want his SUMR. It also has Undead Killer attached to it, which is a rare killer to have, so pretty good combination there. The unit itself is great, his SUMR is great. And then his vision card has 100 flat attack. It's great if you want to squeeze as much damage as possible from your damage healer. It's comparable to Riku KH3's SUMR, which also has 110 flat attack. So if you don't have that SUMR, vision card, this is a good reason to pull on the banner. He does more damage than NV King Edgar Figaro and every other physical damage healer thanks to his global upgrade. Alright, so overall, Ffbe Noctis is an awesome jump damage dealer. It represents the next step in damage dealing, as you can see in the sheet. If you are in need of the damage healer, or just simply a fan of Noctis and FF15, consider pulling for Ffbe Noctis. Alright, so what's on the horizon? We're going to talk about future units or future banners. So Behumi, it's a fan-made unit. It's a tank unit that's coming in April. So if you're looking for a tank unit, you might want to look forward to his banner or save for his banner or maybe plan ahead for his banner. Crimson Blade Arden, similar kit to Ffbe Noctis but dark based. He could also get a global upgrade. He could be next week or the next week. We don't not really know, but he did have similar same release date for Ffbe Noctis in JP. All right, so Oracle Lunafreya, the next evoke magic damage healer, which she is water based. She does more damage than Terra and Faris, so you might also want to plan ahead for her banner. And then I'm not sure if everyone's looking forward to it, but Full Metal Alchemist collaboration. Elwick Brothers are also gonna get most likely a banner following the JP schedule, but we're not really sure. They shuffle around the collaborations. But they are also an NV unit, but they don't do as much damage as Ffbe Noctis. They could also get global upgrade, so who knows. Alright, so those are the banners or units in the future. Alright guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope this helped you decide if you want to pull for Ffbe Noctis. I for one will try to get him by the weekly summons, daily summons, and tickets for now. And if I still don't get him within the 2-week period, I will pull for him. Also looking forward to next week's news before pulling. So I'm just holding on to my lapis for now, and I'll update you what decision I make. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if you're interested in this content, would really help me out. You can also check me out on various social media, links in the description. And thank you guys for those who are already subscribed. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.